After earning the nickname Slice after he left a cut on his opponent's right eye during a fight, Kimbo Slice really was an actual fighter. He wasn't just a street fighter. And in this special edition of the DDB 2K Network, we are going to be looking at when Kevin Ferguson, also known as Kimbo Slice, proved that he was an actual fighter. Kimbo Slice was born in Nassau in the Bahamas, and before becoming a street fighter, he did various jobs during the early years of his life, including being a nightclub bouncer, a limousine driver, and also a bodyguard. But Kimbo Slice decided to take his talents to the streets, and he blew up on the early days of the internet with these legendary backyard fights in the hoods in Miami, Florida. And we also got introduced to Jorge Masvidal, who even appeared in one of these backyard fights before he was ever in the UFC. After his backyard bare-knuckle street fights started to become viral on the internet, Kimbo Slice became interested in the fastest growing sport at the time, MMA, and he began his martial arts training at the Freestyle Fighting Academy. Kimbo Slice had to work his way up since he was only used to, straight hands, throwing straight hands, and he had no ground game, no wrestling base, and this nigga was from the hood, so he really only knew how to throw hands. However, this didn't matter, because on October the 8th, 2005, in his first fight under MMA rules, he fought a dude called Jay Ellis, who he knocked out in the first round in 24 seconds with a nasty combination. I mean, I'm talking about he put this nigga to sleep. However, this was an amateur fight, so it did not officially count on his record. Kimbo Slice would finally make his MMA debut against former WBO heavyweight champion and Olympic gold medalist boxer Ray Mercer, and the fight took place on June the 23rd of 2007 at the Cage Fury Fighting Championship, where Slice would go on to defeat Mercer in the first round with a guillotine choke, proving that he has actually developed a decent ground game with only 2 years of MMA training under his belt. And in the same year, Kimbo Slice would go on to fight Bo Contrail at Elite XC Renegade, where he would win by TKO. The following year, Kimbo Slice appeared at Elite XC's Street Certified, where he fought a former UFC fighter, Tank Abbott, and Slice once again defeated his opponent and emerged victorious. Slowly his fan base started growing, and people started taking him more serious as an MMA competitor and not just a street fighter from Miami, Florida. Later in that year, Kimbo Slice would return to Elite XC Primetime, where he would go on to fight James Thompson, where he would also pick up another TKO victory. And at this time, around 2008-2009, Elite XC was basically putting the fate of the promotion in Kimbo Slice's hands, which backfired, because on October the 4th, 2008, Kimbo Slice would take his first L against Seth Petruzzelli in the first round in just 14 seconds with a punch that did not even look that hard. I mean, he just tapped Kimbo Slice's beard and Kimbo Slice went to sleep. At the time, this was a very shocking upset because no one really knew who Seth Petruzzelli was, and Kimbo Slice was twice the size of this dude, so no one expected that result. But the biggest losers on that night was Elite XC. The already struggling promotion lost 55 million and they pretty much died. I mean, Kimbo Slice getting knocked out was the final nail in the coffin, and the Elite XC was no more. However, his shocking last upset to Seth Petruzzelli did not affect his popularity at all, so after that, he decided to make the decision to compete in the UFC and took part in the 10th season of The Ultimate Fighter, called The Ultimate Fighter Heavyweights.
I know for a fact this next guy that's coming is definitely a fighter. Question is he a mixed martial artist? Talk more about this guy than anybody ever. What's up, Kimbo?
What's up, D-Dub?
Jump in line there.
Which was coached by Sugar Rashad Evans and Quentin Rampage Jackson, and still is to this day the most successful and watched season of The Ultimate Fighter, and I credit a lot of this to Kimbo Slice and of course Brendan Sharp. And in the first fight of the season, Kimbo Slice would take on the season's eventual winner, Roy Big Country Nelson, where we would see Kimbo Slice hold his own on the feet, even landing a couple of good combinations and shots to Roy Nelson. But ultimately, he would get taken down. Roy Nelson put that big old belly on that nigga and just basically pounded him out, pause, and got the TKO win. After one of the competitors in the season got injured, Kimbo Slice had another opportunity to fight in the tournament, but due to a knee injury, he decided to skip this opportunity and later waited for another opportunity, which was a good decision because he would later be put on the Ultimate Fighter Season 10 finale, where he would actually make his UFC debut against Houston Alexander on December the 5th, 2009. And this fight was the exact moment I believe Kimbo Slice proved that he was a real fighter, because although Houston Alexander wasn't the greatest MMA fighter, he had a 9-4 record going into that fight, so that was pretty much a prime version of Houston Alexander, and Kimbo Slice showed good striking, decent ground game, and showed that he's able to use his strength to his advantage by slamming Houston Alexander and almost breaking that nigga's neck.
His back elbows, Houston. Yep, he's taking his back. Oh!
This victory was so impressive, the UFC decided to give him another fight at heavyweight against a guy who was also on the same season of the Ultimate Fighter, Matt Meathead Mitrione. However, Kimbo Slice would not do so good in this fight, where he would lose by TKO in the second round. And after going 1-1 in the UFC, Dana White would go on to cut Kimbo Slice and also Paul Daly on the same card after Kimbo Slice lost one fight in the UFC, which me personally I don't believe is fair. I think that Kimbo Slice at that point was one of the biggest stars in the MMA and one of the biggest stars in the UFC. That's just Dana White being Dana White. But at least we got to play as Kimbo Slice in UFC Undisputed 2010. Kimbo Slice would go on to take a 5-year break from the sport of MMA. In between this break from MMA, Kimbo Slice would go on to take a couple of boxing fights, where he would go undefeated in the sport of boxing. He would later return to the sport of MMA on June 19, 2015 on Bellator 138 Unfinished Business against Ken Shamrock, where he would win in the first round by TKO. And in the following year, Kimbo Slice would participate in his final MMA fight against Dada 5000 in one of the funniest build-up to a fight I've ever seen in my life. I mean, these niggas were comparing the size of their nuts during the press conferences. The trash talk was just way too funny.
Kimbo, a few words.
I'll just wait till I get asked the question.
Okay, Dada.
Listen, I thank each and every one of you guys.
You fool! Shut up, man.
Man, listen.
You ain't got shit to say.
Listen, bro, I got something
You
for
look like shit in your training yesterday. Nothing you can do can hurt me, bro.
Listen to this
These
right here.
people ain't gonna be here to protect
put my
you
hands
Friday, Dada.
on you. You
No
gonna
fear.
understand what it feels
No
like to
fear.
be helpless
You
for
got
the
a better
first time in a
chance
long time
fighting Kimbo.
in your life.
You understand me, bro?
At the end of the day, you ain't
Listen
never
to me.
meet nobody that's gonna hit
Listen
you
to
as
me.
hard as me.
You fuck with Ferg. You called me out.
Listen,
you
dude,
called out Kevin Ferguson,
you are
bro.
a non-factor, bro.
Okay.
Ain't to you,
After
dude.
I knock your ass out,
I
keep
hear
my
you.
name out your mouth.
I hear you. Listen to dude.
Don't say
That
shit
sounds
else.
good, but at the end of the day, you're not capable physically or mentally of doing none of that shit that you talk about, bro.
Physically, I'm not, bro.
Man, listen, dude,
Sure.
I'm a manhandle you, dude.
Yeah.
I promise you that.
Okay.
I promise you
Okay,
that.
so
Pull
let's.
your pants down. Let me see size.
Man, listen,
I'll show my
man.
nuts right now. Let me see your nuts.
Look, yeah. You
You got baby nuts, Dada.
You want to do that?
You got baby nuts. I bet you my nuts bigger than yours.
I hear you.
Come on.
But unfortunately, the fight was one of the most disappointing fights in MMA history, and Dada 5000, Kimbo Slice's opponent, had 2 heart attacks after the fight, and he pretty much died in the octagon or the cage or whatever you want to call it. But after the fight, he got resurrected and he spent 2 weeks in the hospital for cardiac arrest and kidney failure after the fight. Kimbo Slice would finish his career with a similar record to Brock Lesnar. Although he did not achieve what Brock Lesnar achieved, he still had a relatively successful MMA career. He didn't really have the best stamina. He would gas out pretty quickly in fights, but his power was enough to get him through tough fights. And of course, he did fail a drugs test right at the end of his career. But to be honest, probably all of his opponents that he fought were pretty much on PEDs anyway. But apart from that, Kimbo Slice did a lot for the sport of MMA, especially at the beginning, boosting its popularity. And he was really one of the first viral stars on the internet with his backyard bare knuckle fighting videos. And I believe Kimbo Slice truly fulfilled his purpose on this planet. And this is where the video starts to get sad, and Man, this is tough, man. It's really tough, but unfortunately, just a few months after this fight, Kimbo Slice would sadly pass away at the Northwest Medical Center in Margate, Florida, and the cause of death would be a heart attack, and Kimbo Slice was only 42 years old. But the good thing is that Kimbo Slice actually has a son who competes in MMA today, who actually fights for Bellator, who is called Baby Slice, or Ferguson Jr., who is carrying Kimbo Slice's legacy and actually has really good potential to become one of the better fighters in the future. And although Kimbo Slice is gone, he left behind a great legacy. He is respected by the MMA community, and I just wanted to show my appreciation for Kimbo Slice with this video. I'm just glad that his legacy is being continued by his son. But that's gonna be it for this video. I'm out this hoe.
Pocket full of Benjamins, but they call me Bill. Slinging skill for the bill, kill for the bill. Had to sit for a little, they sent me out the hill. I'm roll running, trying to make it back to the crib. I got pieces, I got money in the stack.